Hello? Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? Hopefully this is all right. What's up, everybody? Reed here. Let me know if y'all can hear me. I'm doing this outside my usual spot. It's kind of loud and everything out here. So let me know y'all can hear me. But what's up, everybody? Reed from FloGrappling here, hanging out at the Flow HQ right now. Going to do a little loud and clear. Thank you, Oscar. Appreciate that. But yeah, we're going to be doing a little live chat session here. I've been doing a couple of these throughout the last few months, and they've seemed to gone really well. So try to make a more weekly staple about these here. Kind of talk about what's been going on, what's been happening in the world of jiu-jitsu, the world that you love and I do as well. So let's see if we can recap some things. It was a crazy weekend. See if we can get some more people in here. I'll wait to as this chat room kind of fills out. But if you guys got any questions, definitely use this chat window over here, or maybe it's over here. Mine's over here. Use this chat window. Ask me some questions. We're talking all things jiu-jitsu. We're talking about BJJ Stars from last weekend. If you guys missed BJJ Stars, wow, what an insane event. We're talking about Erberth's Shenanigans. Erberth going crazy. If you missed that crazy brawl, you've been living under a rock for a long time. We're going to be talking about Gabriel Arges versus Craig Jones that went down at GrappleFest 4 over the weekend in the UK. And, anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm interested these days in the Berimbolo debate. We can talk a little bit about the Berimbolo debate. And like I said, anything else you guys want to talk about? ADCC trials happened a few weeks ago. That was a big event. But anything you guys are interested in, let's talk about it. But first off, let's get into some BJJ Stars discussion, man. If you guys missed this BJJ Stars event, it was a fantastic event. It really was. That was kind of marred by Erberth Santos a little bit. And I'll link to this little this is our article that one of our guys did on the event. Kind of puts everything into perspective. Really good recap of what went down, and mainly I'm talking about the Erberth Santos situation. So if you missed it, just to recap it slightly, just a little bit. But Erberth Santos was fighting Felipe Pena at BJJ Stars, which is a big Brazilian event that happened down in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Huge super fights. Buchecha was on the card. Leandro Lo was on the card. Nicholas Meragali, Shanji Ribeiro. It was kind of a who's who event, huge event in Sao Paulo. There are a lot of Brazilian-based events besides Copa Podio and a few others that do big events, big super fight events in Brazil. So they went down there and did that, and the main event was Erberth Santos versus Felipe Pena. Both guys at the top of their games, both world champions, and it was the main event. They have a little history. They've gone back and forth. I believe Felipe Pena is like three wins, and I think Erberth has beaten Felipe once or twice at least. So it's like they're like 3-1 or 3-2, something like that. They fought each other multiple times. I remember World Pro 2 years ago, Erberth Santos beat him. Does Erberth really expect to have any credibility after this? You're too hurt to grapple, but sprint to the fist fight. See, Philip watched it. Philip knows what's going on. So just to continue the recap real quick, what happened was the fight started. It was going good, and Erberth, he did a little bit of a fake handshake, and then went right for the collar, right for Felipe's collar. But I didn't see anything malicious or anything too unsportsmanlike there. Erberth was kind of, Felipe was kind of spinning underneath, using some X guard, some single leg X, things like that. They got kind of tangled up, and Erberth yelped out that his knee hurt. So they stopped the match. Erberth was sitting down, and they brought the doctor in. And then basically from there, all hell broke loose. It was absolutely insane. He ran after one guy. Then you thought things had calmed down, and he ran after another guy who I believe is Servio Tulio from Gracie Baja. It looked like maybe some of the Gracie Baja guys were, I don't know. Erberth was clearly mad at the Gracie Baja guys about something. He ran after him. It was really just a messy situation. The stands kind of cleared out. Things spilled over. People were kicking. People were punching. It was really one of those like real like old school Brazilian videos that you saw from like the 90s or something with like Renzo Gracie or something like that, where it was like these guys were brawling at these big events. So, you know, I want to know what you guys have to think about it. You know, for me watching it, like I said, man, I do think it's a very sensitive situation because you know, a lot is going on right now in the world of jiu-jitsu with the way, you know, Dylan Dennis has handled things. I feel like, you know, so this is kind of, it feels like a snowball that's been going downhill. And, you know, it definitely kind of came to a peak at this BJJ Stars event. So I want to know what you guys have to say about it. You know, I think there's one side of the debate that people are yeah, I see. So Legend 987 is saying that, bro, I saw that he posted on Instagram explaining what really happened. Apparently it started in the morning, and I believe I read his Instagram post, Erberth Santos Instagram post as well. He put up an Instagram post today, and it's in Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, but we were able to kind of decipher some things. We have some guys who speak Portuguese in there, and yeah, I believe what he's talking about is that somebody kind of punched him in the back or in the ribs while he had his back turned. And then, yeah, you can see that Dimebag Daryl over here. What up, Dimebag Daryl? Shout out. He said something about being called, you know, names and a monkey and stuff like that. So it sounded like he was saying that he was being treated poorly, that people were ribbing him, that were, you know, kind of putting him on edge basically the entire time. You know, it's hard to know if that's true. I mean, Erberth is saying it, so you got to take it at its face value. It sounded like Erberth had some problems earlier in the day, and that kind of led to the powder keg of emotion and craziness that happened at the BJJ Stars. But like I said, I think there's one school of thought that people are like, this is absolutely terrible for jiu-jitsu. This is absolutely the complete opposite way that jiu-jitsu should be heading, you know. And then there's the other side of things that says that this is a lot of the history of jiu-jitsu and it's entertainment. So maybe it's possibly a good thing that this sort of thing happens, you know, because this sort of thing happens. A lot of mainstream news sources, I believe I even saw Barstool Sports, which is like a real happening, real hip, you know, sports news source here in the United States. They picked it up. So, man, there's a lot of craziness going on. I to be honest, you know, I obviously don't condone what Erberth did, and it did seem like a big mess the way it all happened and things like that, you know. But watching it, I wasn't too surprised. Like I said, I've gone to a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments where people have begun fighting, just random Texas tournaments here where people, you know, one guy's coaching their guy and another guy's coaching another guy, and they get heated and tensions erupt. So like, especially in the spur of the moment during the match, everybody's watching you. You know, I tend to like give guys a pass when things get heated, when things get out of control, especially during a match. There's so much pressure and everything like that. You know, I'm not making excuses for Erberth. I think definitely what he did was not a good not a good thing that a sportsman would do. But so let me try to jump in here, read some more of these comments because I see more of them coming through. I heard he killed somebody when he was 16 or 17. That's the reason everybody hates him in the BJJ community. I'm not sure about that, Tarek. I've never heard that, but you know, there's plenty of rumors swirl in the world of jiu-jitsu and in the jiu-jitsu community. So it's not hard to uncover some of these rumors and learn a little bit more about some of the history of some of these guys. BJJ is a combat sport. Brendan Engel says BJJ is a combat sport. Shit happens. See, like, you know, like I said, I'm not trying to condone what Erberth did, but I do tend to come down a little bit in that realm of things. That ego, especially in jiu-jitsu, we like to say that ego doesn't play a part, but man, if we're being honest with each other, if we're being honest with ourselves, ego is such a big part of jiu-jitsu. You went to jiu-jitsu practice the first time, you got whooped, and then you said, that is never going to happen to me ever again. And so you got committed to jiu-jitsu. You didn't stop coming. Some guys go to jiu-jitsu to get whooped and they say, I don't want ever that happen again, and they don't ever come back. Shouldn't a top competitor like Erberth be in control of his emotions and just fight well? Well, that's a great point. I mean, that's a Guru Feta Khalsa, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, says, shouldn't a top competitor like Erberth be in control of his emotions and just fight well? Absolutely. I mean, that's the dream, right? That all these guys are professionals, that all these guys conduct themselves like good sportsmen. You know, I think that's the ultimate goal for most sports leagues and things like that. But also, I talked a little bit about this on the last episode of our Fistful of Collars, which we do here on YouTube. So definitely check that out if you guys haven't seen it. But I talked a little bit about that the last weeks, about this being in control of your emotions and things like that. But what I want to see is these athletes be their authentic selves. And something tells me that Erberth is being he's being authentic. You know, like I saw somebody else up there said you can't test Erberth's gangster, and it feels kind of true to me a little bit. So let me see. So Revax Playground says he argues that there are people calling him a monkey. What are they? Yeah, that's kind of not a great comment. I'm gonna hide that one. Joe says there is no debate. He ran off the mat to assault a spectator. He's lucky if he goes to compete in any event again, any other sport, he'd be fined with a suspension. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But, you know, I also remember when I first started jiu-jitsu and I was watching Legacy, Renzo Gracie, right? And there's a big moment in Legacy Renzo Gracie when he's in the cage fighting and some guys are like kicking him in the cage. I'm sure if you've seen the movie or if you're familiar with Renzo Gracie, it's a very legendary story. And it's a very romantic story that this big brawl broke out in Brazil, all because of kind of the jiu-jitsu versus luta livre and Renzo, the Gracie families, and Hein Gracie was in there as well. And the way people tell that story now, years removed, is in a very romantic way. You know, that this was kind of a really seminal moment, a pivotal moment in jiu-jitsu history when Renzo started this crazy brawl at an MMA show. You know, so we'll see. We're very close to it right now, and I agree. I totally agree with everybody. It looks really, really bad right now, and there's no place for it. I totally agree. But we'll see where the chips fall. You know, kind of over the next little bit. And man, like I said, Erberth he's had such a up and down history in the sport. He made Bernardo Faria furious. Bernardo Faria is the nicest guy in jiu-jitsu, and to make Bernardo Faria furious, man, there's something going on there. All right, Dimebag Daryl says, I think it's a shame. Makes us Brazilians look like savages. And I see a lot of foreigners talking like just Brazilians being Brazilians. Well, I'm not a Brazilian, so that's a very interesting take that I hadn't really thought of, Dimebag Daryl. So I definitely appreciate you contributing that. That's a pretty good way. I hadn't thought about it like that, and I can understand how that's probably pretty frustrating to feel like that this sort of thing kind of happens all the time, and it's just Brazilians being Brazilian. That's probably not a good thing to feel. BJJ is more interesting to watch if it's heated. I do agree with that statement as well. Sometimes I want to know who the best is. You know, that's always one of my goals. Is I want to know who the best jiu-jitsu guy is. But when it's personal or when there's something a little bit more on the line, it does make it a little bit more interesting. And you know what I'm excited for? The next time Erberth fights Felipe Pena. And that might be terrible to say, but I am genuinely excited to see the next time Felipe and Erberth go at it, because there is so much baggage there. Do you think he faked the leg injury? Well, I think that we've seen Erberth have knee problems in the past. I think we've seen Erberth tap quick to leg locks, and especially twisting the knee. So I don't think he faked the leg injury. I think he maybe felt like he was getting in danger, felt like his knee was getting twisted up in a way that he didn't want it to get twisted up, because maybe the day before he hurt his knee. Maybe he has an ongoing knee injury, which I know a lot of people in the sport of jiu-jitsu have lingering knee injuries, ongoing knee injuries. I know a lot of guys who in jiu-jitsu who are competing with torn ACLs or with torn LCLs and stuff like that, so it doesn't surprise me that he has some sort of leg injury that he maybe kind of was protecting. And then it obviously went from there. So, who knows the extent of the leg injury? Maybe he felt like his leg was getting twisted and kind of spun up in Felipe's X guard, and he yelled out and said, kind of didn't want to go any further. So I don't think he faked the leg injury. But yeah, it was a pretty intense situation after that. So definitely it wasn't that bad of a leg injury, like I said, but maybe he was just being preemptive. It seems like the situation with Ralph Gracie has been forgotten. That was way worse. Is there any update on this? And what's your opinion? Man, I totally agree. That was a crazy situation. And I think that one is more of a black eye on jiu-jitsu than Erberth and Philippe's situation. Is there any update on this? Now, that's a good question. I believe Flavio Almeida did address it a little bit, and he did a podcast where we talked about it. And from what I understand, I believe they are pressing charges against Ralph Gracie, and this is going to be an ongoing investigation, ongoing thing. I saw that the founder of Gracie Barra put out a statement, obviously condemning Ralph's actions as well. I definitely agree. I think that was way worse, because that one, I don't know. They're both not great situations. They're both unfortunate. One guy connected on a punch. The other guy just was kind of throwing punches. But Joe Guilliame, don't know how to say names. I'm terrible. Sorry. Can't wait till Marcelo competes, he says. There's no ambassadors of the sport anymore. Wow, that's an interesting. Who would be the opposite of Erberth Santos? I think there's plenty of guys out there who are carrying that torch. Ambassadors for the sport. Keenan is a great ambassador for the sport, I think. I think there's a lot of guys out there. The Ribeiro brothers do a great job. Homolo Bahal, I think, does a great job of really setting an example. The Norwegians, I always like those guys. How do I feel about Gordon Ryan's reaction to Erberth's actions? That's what Coop Lord 56 says. How do you feel about Gordon Ryan's reaction to Erberth's action? Well, obviously, Gordon doesn't like Erberth. Erberth doesn't like Gordon. They've been circling each other for a match for a few years. Every time Erberth loses, Gordon seems to comment on it. We did a little video at the LA Grand Slam last year where Erberth, kind of gave a little shine to Gordon and said, hey, you're good, but if you want to meet the real king, fight me. So those guys have been circling each other. It's not I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Gordon didn't have nice things to say about Erberth after. That's a great match, though. Who wouldn't want to see Erberth versus Gordon? I think one of the things that makes Erberth so successful, and he's a world champion. He's a 2017 world champion, a pan champion. He's one of the best competitors out there. He's been on a little bit of a downturn, I think, the past year and a half. But he's definitely one of the best competitors out there. And one of the things that makes Erberth so successful is how feared he is in the jiu-jitsu community. The way he just snatches a knee for a knee bar, the way he snatches a toe hold, or snatches some of those crazy footlocks that he has or whatnot. Guys are afraid of him hurting them. So people will tap quicker, things like that. But it's like the mystique of Erberth is a part of why he's so successful. And this only adds to the mystique. So do whatever you want with that. I'm not supporting, Legend comes back in here. He says, Legend 987, he says, I'm not supporting what he did, but I do love his jiu-jitsu techniques. I love watching him compete, my opinion. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Joshua Chavez says, what do you think about everyone wanting him banned from all the tournaments. That sounds a little excessive to me. I don't think IBJJF or UAE really have any jurisdiction to ban him from tournaments because of this thing that happened at a very completely unrelated event. So I don't think there's really any grounds to banning him across all tournaments. But I'm sure a lot of those guys are going to be keeping an extra eye on him. Man, you guys really like talking about Erberth. We're 20 minutes in. I was hoping we can talk a little bit more about some other stuff here, but I'll get through a couple more questions, and then I want to switch gears to Craig versus Gabriel Arges, which was a great match. In every sport, respect is everything. I don't know, man. A lot of these guys respect each other, absolutely, but you can't have too much respect when you're in there, right? You got to be able to think you can beat anybody. The man started a brawl. Well, people could have gotten really hurt. Lifetime suspension period. True. From what I've been able to read, been able to uncover, nobody did really get hurt. And mostly the people involved were Erberth, and then obviously a lot of members of Gracie Baja and some other people. It looked like some other people did get knocked down and things like that. And I'm not condoning it at all, but it didn't look like nobody got really hurt, which is a blessing. Can we give Felipe more credit for not stomping Erberth when he was on the ground, as well as pulling others off Santos? What a classy guy. Felipe is the man. I totally agree. He handled the situation. Nobody could have handled the situation better probably than Felipe. He was extremely disappointed with the way the whole thing went, obviously, but I do agree it's a shitty situation for excuse me. It's a shitty situation for Felipe to be in, and I thought he did handle himself really, really well. All right, my man Ben Amador, he's finally flipping the script a little bit here. John Jones, I'm not able to talk at all. Give me a second here. Flipping the script. Let's talk about Craig Jones versus the IBJJF World Champion, Gabriel Arges. Let me just post this link real quick. This is the link to the full Grapple Fest 4 event that had Lachlan Giles, Fionn Davies, and then, of course, in the main event was Gabriel Arges versus Craig Jones. I'm just trying to see if I could real quick find this, find the video of Gabriel versus. Oh, here it is. Let me just pop this in there real quick too. So this link right here is just going to be Craig versus Gabriel Arges. Okay, real quick, let's talk about this. So this was a great match. Grapple Fest 4. Those guys have been doing some really great work, some really great events out there in the UK. Last time they had Craig Jones versus Mateus Diniz. This time was a much, much better match. Mateus Diniz versus Craig Jones, unfortunately, was a bit of a stall fest. Unfortunately, kind of a bit of a stalemate for a lot of the match. But this one, ultra exciting. I loved the matchup when they first announced this match. It was a world champion, a gi world champion in Gabriel Arges, 2017 middleweight champion, I believe. And in 2016, he had a fantastic run as well. So one of the better gi competitors, one of the best guys coming out of the Gracie Baja Northridge with Edwin Najmi and Homolo Bahal. So Gabriel Arges, one of our favorite competitors to watch here recently at Flo, especially in the gi. We don't see too much of him in no gi, so it was a very interesting matchup to have Gabriel Arges make that jump into Craig Jones's world, because Craig Jones, obviously, you'd probably know him from his breakout performance at ADCC in Finland 2017, where he beat Merlo Santana and submitted Merlo and Leandro Lowe. So Craig has been doing great in the no-gi scene the last 2 years. He's had a couple dips, I think, but this Gabriel Arges match was an absolute shining moment for him. Just a huge moment, and a great matchup. And I love what Grapple Fest is doing out there. So if you guys haven't seen the match, check out the match. I just posted the link in the chat over here. Man, I see Bland saying, can Meragali Lowe get some love? What a match. I totally agree. Let's talk about that in just a minute. Gordon is the king. Love that guy. Who do I train with? I train at Paragon here in Austin. Ben Amador asking who do I train with? So this was a great match. If you haven't seen that match, Craig versus Arges, definitely check that one out. It was really impressive the way Craig was able to pass Gabriel's guard, take his back, and submit him. It's a really intense little sequence where he has that kind of like body lock, float passing stuff that Wagner Rocha and Gordon Ryan have been doing a lot lately. Gordon, of course, just came out with his DVD, a lot of that foot pummeling and float passing and stuff like that. Really interesting series of sequences and grips and things like that. If you haven't learned a lot about the float passing that I see Wagner and Gordon both talking a lot about recently and making videos for, I believe we have some good videos of it. Let me see if I can find some videos real quick of Gordon Ryan and Wagner doing some of those float pass techniques, because those are pretty sick. So I can find them real quick. Nothing's popping up for me real quick, but anyway, but that's exactly how he did it. He was able to kind of get this body lock around Gabriel Arges. He was in this tripoded stance, was killing one of the butterfly hooks, and then it looks like he kind of like knee cuts through, gets to that 3/4 mount, takes the back, and immediately pops the choke in. The choke was on like in seconds. It was a crazy finish. If you haven't seen that one, check that out. Lachlan Giles also, he got a great finish on the card. Fionn Davies got a great finish on the card. So a lot of good finish. The European grapplers really are stepping things up. It's a lot of fun to watch them. Here's some I just found real quick, some of that float passing stuff that Gordon's been talking a lot about. We have some videos on our site as well. So check out this link that I just dropped in the comments over there. That's some Gordon Ryan float passing stuff that we've been working and we've been checking out as well, and it's helped my no-gi game quite a bit already. So let's talk. Also, I want to mention Meragali versus Lowe. That also happened at BJJ Stars, and oh my God, that is the best rivalry in jiu-jitsu, hands down. These guys are incredible, and watching Meragali is just an absolute treat. And I believe they are now 2-2. So I think Meragali has beaten at black belt. They're 2-2. So Meragali has beaten Lowe twice, and Lowe's beaten Meragali twice. And so if you guys remember, they fought once when Meragali was a brown belt at Copa Podio. Leandro Lowe beat him there. Then he fought him twice. They fought twice at Pans, once in the weight division, once in the absolute division. Leandro beat Meragali both times. Then they fought at the World Championships in the finals. Of course, Meragali beat Lowe in that one. And now they fought for a 5th time at BJJ Stars. So now, technically, Leandro Lowe has 3 wins and Meragali has 2. So they're 3-2. So super interesting rivalry. I love how heated they get. Did you see Leandro pushed Meragali at the weigh-ins? Just the way they get so hyped for that match. I hope that match happens at Pans, at Worlds. That's my favorite match of all time. Leandro Lowe versus Nicholas Meragali. How about Buchecha JGR? Already a beast, but it seems to be getting better and better. Yeah, man, a good year. 2019 is starting out to be a good year for Joao Gabriel Rocha. He had a great match with Gordon Ryan. Many thought that he beat Gordon Ryan. Some people thought that, at least, and but Gordon ended up winning that one. But no-gi isn't exactly Joao's specialty, so I thought that even he was able to go in there and kind of stalemate a lot of the positions and things. That was a big match for him. And then I believe Joao has fought Buchecha 7 times, and this might have been the 8th time, but he hadn't beaten him in seven matches. Buchecha always beat him. So this is the first time that Joao was able to win over a guy like Buchecha. So a huge 2019 to start for Joao Gabriel. Most gi guys focus. So Tarek, he's saying most gi guys focus on escaping heel hooks, but the no gi guys have scary back takes. Yeah. The Danaher guys have been talking about that back take system for years now. And Craig, I think, is definitely a great back taker. He took Leandro Lowe's back. That's exactly what happened. Leandro Lowe had to defend the heel hook. Craig came up, took his back, rear naked choked him. It was great. I would love to see Craig play top game more. Blands, this is a commenter named Blands, saying, I would love to see Craig play top game more. I totally agree. His top game is sick. I love that he was wrestling hard. He was being very physical in this Gabriel Arges match. He was pulling the head. He was making Gabriel pull guard. He wasn't letting him just stand right up. He was pushing him back down. He had the single leg, and he just kind of threw him down. Craig made sure that he was going to be very physical, and I think it really paid dividends because eventually I think he wore down Gabriel, and that's what led to the finish. He has underrated throws. His passing is really quick and dynamic. He's put on some size as well. Maybe we see NCAA Craig at ADCC. Yeah, I totally agree. He has looked great lately. He does look a little bit bigger. He's working his wrestling. I think he knows he's got to get better at wrestling to win ADCC. So good on Craig. I think that's a big feather in his cap. That's a big feather in his cap to beat a world champion like Gabriel Arges. So great event from Grapple Fest 4. Really liked it. Craig's game plan nullified or stifled Keenan at Polaris. Could Keenan win a rematch? Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the reason why Craig won at Polaris there was because Craig flipped the script completely. I think Keenan thought he was going to get in a leg lock battle, and he completely flipped the script on Keenan. It was a very tight match. Could have gone either way, probably. So I think definitely Keenan could win in a rematch. You know, Keenan has beaten Craig before. He beat him at ADCC, I believe. So I definitely think, you know, that's a razor close match. Craig versus Keenan, another great rivalry. Did James is asking me, did Josh Hanger call it when he was running after you, Reed? Oh, yeah. You said that it looked like me, but that wasn't me. Totally wasn't me. That was Servio Tullio that Erberth was running after. What's up with the push before the match? Which push? Oh, are you talking about Leandro Lowe versus Nicholas Meragali? I think those guys just don't like each other. All right, guys. I'm going to get a few more questions in here. So get a couple questions in. I'll see if I can get to them real quick, and I'm going to wrap this up. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and talking and stuff. But let me see if you guys got a couple more questions we can talk about. Callum Stacy Grant says, do you think Wagner Hosch's smother choke is so disliked because it doesn't require much technique? I think the smother choke is not liked because, like, just when I think about someone putting their hand over my mouth in a jiu-jitsu context, it just makes me very mad. I think it's more of a frustrating thing than an actual choke. I feel like I would never tap to it. Most people won't tap to it, especially at elite level. But it's very frustrating, and that's why people don't like it. It's because above everything else, it's just like an annoyance, and it's very frustrating to have someone have their hand over your mouth while you're trying to breathe, right? It's no fun. A fight is a fight. I'd rather be smothered than get my arm broken, but I understand it's not a pleasant move. Yeah, it's not something that most people tap to. Like, it's the same thing with like heavy side control pressure, right? Like, you're not going to tap. Most people don't tap to heavy side control pressure, but it is so annoying, and it is just terrible to be under someone who has super heavy head side control pressure, and they have like their shoulder in your face. It's just the worst position to be in. Like, I'm not going to tap to it, but it is so uncomfortable, very frustrating. BJJ Stars, I was there. Jefferson Magala says he was there. He has Erberth Santos has amazing jiu-jitsu. That's the crux of it, huh? Isn't it? Who will win the Grand Prix in the fall? We'll have to see. Could Ryan Hall be competitive on the circuit, on the current pro grappling circuit, Kasai or Polaris, or has he been away too long? Nope. I think definitely Ryan Hall could be competitive. You know, I mean, he's focusing on jiu-jitsu, striking, Muay Thai, boxing, you know. So, like, I think he'd have to jump back into the real competitive side of jiu-jitsu and just brush up on all the intricacies excuse me, and all the nuances of jiu-jitsu, but I think Ryan Hall could definitely be right there. Not the hand, but the pit of the forearm over my mouth. Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all tuning in here and talking with me about BJJ Stars, about Craig versus Gabriel Arges, Leandro Lowe versus Nicholas Meragali. Plenty to talk about, plenty to unpack. I'm going to try to do more of these, try to do them more weekly. I love the YouTube community. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching all my videos and everything like that. So I love this YouTube community. Want to try giving back more to this YouTube channel. So hopefully you guys will see me more frequently, maybe every Tuesday around this time. Sounds like a good time to do something like this. So yeah, anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been our little live chat here on what's today? Tuesday, February 26th. And I'll see y'all soon. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.